Welcome to the Rotary Membership Action Plan Session 1. A few notes for this Zoom webinar this evening. Questions should be posted using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and comments should be posted using the chat feature that most of us are familiar with there at the bottom of your screen as well. So without much further ado, let's welcome to the stage my favorite current Rotary International Director from Zone 33 and 34, Jeremy Hurst.
Well, thanks, Andy, and welcome club membership chairs, club presidents, and those of you just interested in growing membership to the initial bite-sized chunk session, as we're calling it, of the Zones 33, 34 Membership Action Plan, or MAP, as it's known. My name, as Andy says, is Jeremy Hurst, and I am a director of Rotary International for 22-24 from your Zones 33 and 34. And this webinar series is intended to provide easy to implement steps to improve membership growth at the club level. So the vision of the Membership Action Plan team is to establish membership growth as a catalyst to fulfill Rotary International's vision, where together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and probably most importantly, in ourselves. The realization came that while some clubs have succeeded in growing membership, many clubs needed a plan that they could easily follow, that was immediately actionable and backed by real-time data. MAP offers a multi-year, data-driven, step-by-step plan to help our clubs achieve consistent, moderate membership growth. And a quick note on how we got here. A team of current and past membership, public image, and foundation people from our zones assembled to examine how to move the needle on membership growth. Their individual talents and collective knowledge created these monthly bite-sized chunk webinars, as we call them. They are also building a MAP database and website, which will roll out in early 2023, and will help you track and measure your success. And for good measure, we've designed an awards program to support, recognize, and reward your journey through the MAP plan. I can honestly say that none of them want the recognition. They've dedicated their time because they genuinely want to see your clubs create lasting change in your communities. They understand that if Rotary can grow more, it can do more, and that attracting and keeping new people of action will benefit us all. To give you the big picture, this membership system addresses the 4 areas that impact growth, and experience has shown that growth is only achievable at club level if we focus on each of these 4 areas. The prospect pipeline, which is the focus of today's session, asks if you are consistently generating enough prospective members and shows you how to. Attraction poses the question, are we making a successful case to our prospects about what is important to them? That's to say, meaningful opportunities to serve, leadership opportunities, or an expanded network of friends or professional acquaintances, for example. Onboarding considers how we prepare new members for success. How do we make them feel welcome to Rotary and part of our amazing organization? How do we show them the opportunities that exist for them and match their passions with what Rotary and our clubs have to offer? And lastly, engagement. Is your club a friendly group or a group of friends? How do we keep our members involved and ensure they get the right return on their investment, creating value for them from their Rotary experiences? These monthly sessions will provide fundamental techniques to help all our clubs recover from the challenges of the past 2 years and provide a map to achieve consistent, moderate club membership growth. And please note that whilst these methods are proven to work, they aren't intended to replace the successful processes already in your club. In fact, we want to hear from you what's working. And along the way, we'll be finding ways to share, for you to share, and to brag about your successes too. When done well, however, it's been proven that following the 4 steps of the MAP membership system will reduce attrition and increase retention, which, when combined with attracting new members, and that's important, will lead to the desired goal of consistent, moderate club membership growth. However, this isn't about simply increasing numbers. This is about making greater impact in the communities our clubs serve, growing our networks and increasing our opportunities for fellowship. But this only happens when we have membership growth at the center of our priorities. As I said, we believe the membership action plan gives club membership chairs and presidents the steps to do exactly that, allowing your club to unite more people and broaden lasting change. In short, to grow more and to do more, thereby allowing your members to enjoy their Rotary experiences to the fullest. And if none of that appeals to you, then do it for the awards, recognition, and adulation you'll receive from throughout the Rotary world. You'll be eligible to win the Zone Membership Builders and other awards for successfully completing this program. Today, we're going to share 3 strategies for creating a membership pipeline with you. We aren't expecting you to try and implement all of them. Find one that suits you and your club best and give it a try. We'll provide handouts afterwards with more details on implementation. Then a month or 2 later, try another and see how that works for your club. And a couple of months after that, try the 3rd. Keep running these plays throughout the year. This isn't a one and done activity. We want you to build these good membership habits into your club's culture year round and not just during membership month. So let me now pass over to Mike Dara, who's the Rotary Coordinator for Zone 34, to tell us more about how to create a membership pipeline. Mike, over to you.
Thanks, Jeremy. We're going to talk about 3 different ways to create a membership pipeline. I will present the first one. It's called Who Do You Know? Then Chris Jones will show you how to do a gap analysis, and Terry Weaver will talk about the personal contact. The goal is to get people to identify a prospect, then get them to ask that person, and most important, to follow up. But first, let's do a quick poll. How many leads does it take to gain 1 new member? Click on your answer. You've got about 10 seconds. I've got to say, if any of you have had a sales job, you probably already know this. So let's see what the answer is. The answer is, and most of you got this, it takes 10 leads to come up with a good group of prospects and then get 1 person out of that. 10 contacts make 3 good prospects. But of those 3, it's normally about 1 is likely to join. It may not be the right time for the other 2 prospects, so keep them on your list. So how do you find the leads? How can you improve your success rate so it takes maybe less than 10 leads to gain 1 member? First, let's play Who Do You Know? At a club meeting, you pass out a 3x5 card to each person, and you ask people, who do you know that would add value to our club? Now, this is really important. You have your member write their name on the card, and then they list maybe 1, 2, or as many as 5 potential Rotarians. It's a great time to have the different tables in your meeting brainstorm ideas together. It really is true that you get more ideas when you work together. So let me ask you, take out a scrap of paper, and as we talk, write down a name of someone who would make your club better. Maybe they enhance your club's connection to the community, or they have a love for serving, or they're really interesting people who love to interact with others. It's not easy to come up with a name when you don't have time to think, is it? Does it help you if I had a couple of other ideas? For example, some of the best Rotarians are friends, neighbors, coworkers, or someone you sell to. You can increase your success rate if you do this during a club assembly. If you hand out these cards, you can ask different people why they joined Rotary. Have them stand up. Have them just tell their story. It helps members think of potential people. Chris Jones will be giving you some other ways to spark ideas for potential members when he talks about gap analysis. If you help your members come up with ideas, you'll build a list of prospects who will strengthen your club. Now, here are 2 steps you cannot forget. When you've gotten the people to write down the names, collect those names. It's great if you can leave those folks with the piece of paper they left, maybe take a photo of it, but you need to collect that to put it in your database. And second, follow up with the proposer. So now that you have the names and the proposer, follow up about every 3 to 4 weeks to make sure the prospect is being asked to an event that will resonate with the prospect. Many Rotarians aren't used to asking others to Rotary, so you may have to help by keeping it on their radar, just gently reminding them. And don't ask prospects up front to join Rotary. Ask them to come to something they'll enjoy, or even better, to an event where they can help. One final point. Your members might identify some great people, but none of your current members know them. That's okay. One club went from 28 members to 70 members in 2 years by creating a green room. That's where they placed these great contacts that would be wonderful for the club to have, but nobody knew them. Use those folks, put them off in that side area, and come back when somebody develops a personal contact for them. Terry will talk more about personal contact after Chris. All 3 of these ideas we're going to talk tonight can be used alone, or they can be used in combination. Figure out what works for you. You'll find more ideas by following the links to the resources on the 3 slides on your screen. Now, to tell you how to do a gap analysis, I turn it over to Zone 33's past Rotary coordinator, Chris Jones.
Mike, thank you so much for a great presentation on Who Do You Know. It's an outstanding strategy that works very successfully when implemented consistently and followed up on regularly. What I'd like to share with you this evening is about performing in your club. And before I get into this and what it really is, let me set the stage a little bit. Let's say that a family member, spouse, parent, something like that, asks you to go out and get some groceries from the grocery store. And that's all the information that you're given. Now think about this for a minute. You go off to a 50,000 square foot store and you're supposed to go inside, get some groceries, and return home with them. What do you suppose your odds are of getting home with the desired groceries you were sent to acquire? Maybe 50-50 at best. Okay, so now let's say you were sent off to the grocery store to buy something only for dinner. Still not a lot of direction, but you're getting closer in terms of the desired meal group, but not so much about the food specifics. Maybe your odds are now sitting at about 70% of success. Finally, if you're sent off to this 50,000 square foot grocery store to get vegetables, now you have excellent odds of returning home with the intended groceries that you were sent to get. And this is all about being intentional. And that's what we're going to talk about this evening in terms of identifying gaps in your club. So let's switch gears here and put this into action for our clubs. What I recommend is you gather a small group of your club members and list the type of businesses, vocations, and professions that are missing from your club. It could start with a commercial list of businesses or a Chamber of Commerce membership list or a book of lists. Most communities publish those annually. As this evolves to specific prospects in those businesses, focus on people with the same passion for service, not just position within the company. The best candidate for Rotary may not be the person who runs the business. Now let's get into a little bit of the how. What types of people make up our clubs? What professions do we currently have covered in our club? What professions are available in your market of your club that you do not currently have as members? Where do you find out all of this classification and profession information? Again, the Chamber of Commerce would be a great place to start. So this is where you really get started on this program of gap analysis by identifying the professions that are not represented in your club. Next thing we have to do is to identify who in the club knows someone that may work in that space, or may know someone who knows someone that works in that space. This process works very similar to the way that Mike talked about just a few minutes ago of who do you know. Hand out some 3x5 cards to your members, post a list using a projector or even writing the missing professions on a flip chart of the professions that your club wants to have represented in your membership. Then have your members write down the names of people they know that fill those positions. Have them place their own name in the top right corner of the index card. And I recommend you have your members take a photo of their own 3x5 card so they keep it with them and have it handy so that they know who they wrote down. But hand those cards into your membership chair so that your membership chair also has an active record of your new list of folks. So now ask the members to either reach out to the names they've listed or ask someone in the club to work with them on this process. And a quick note about that. Not everyone likes calling on others about membership. Some in your club love doing this. It is suggested that you do not ask people to reach out to others if they're not comfortable. Let's let others who enjoy doing this do so. The member who prefers not to make the ask could even make an introduction to the member who will make the ask. So once you have your gap analysis lead gen list put together, then put a plan of action into place to follow up on those leads. The gold is in the follow-up. If McDonald's only ever ran one commercial, would they have sold billions of hamburgers? So again, the gold is in the follow-up. So Terry Weaver is going to come to us now and speak more about making a personal ask. And I don't want to take too much of his thunder away. So let me stop here and introduce Zone 33's current Rotary coordinator, Terry Weaver.
Thanks, Chris. As you realize, our membership program today is focused on the first success principle of a Rotary Club's membership system, and that's building this pipeline of prospects. Now, just to be clear, we're not looking for just anybody. We're looking for more of the same quality people we have in Rotary today, as well as expanding our reach to underrepresented groups in our communities. Happily, quality people know quality people. They hang around with quality friends. They have quality customers. They have quality suppliers. They have quality neighbors and family members. And we've discussed two tried and true strategies for prompting your members to bring those quality Rotary prospects to the table. And here's a third. We call it the personal ask. Now, you want to ask from the podium. You want to ask in your club newsletter. You want to ask in emails, always reminding your members that we need them to be talking about Rotary with people they know and introducing those people to Rotary. Trouble is, many members hear or read those messages from the podium, in a newsletter, in an email, and they think you're talking to someone else. They don't take them as a personal ask. What we mean by a personal ask is a real one-on-one conversation on the phone, in person, between a club leader and a club member. That club leader might be the club president, a membership chair, a board member, or a well-known high-profile member. In a larger club, you may split this up between several board members, for example. You could just buttonhole somebody following a Rotary meeting or at a service project, or call them on the phone. Now, you don't need to make this up on your own. We have a script for that. Just search personal on the Zone website, just like what you see on the screen. Search on personal, and you'll find a script that goes something like this. Hi, Jeremy. Is this an okay time for a call? Are you tied up with something? I always start a phone call with that question. Is this an okay time for a call? I learned that from times that I started into the conversation and then the person says, oh, I got to do this, do that, whatever. I got to stop. I got to break off. Then, of course, it's hard to get back in the game. So I'm talking to Jeremy and saying, Jeremy, we really have a great Rotary. I love this club. I love coming to our meetings. I love seeing people like you and the rest of our members. But frankly, at its current size, we've let this club shrink down to about just below 20 members. And I'm thinking its long-term sustainability is really in jeopardy. We seem to just sort of be aging out together. And it also strikes me, we could do a whole lot more for our community if we had, say, 10 more members. If we were a 30-member club instead of a 20-member club, think of what that would look like. So I'm asking you for your help. I need your help to get there. I need you to bring me only one potential Rotarian to a Rotary information hour. We're going to call those Discover Rotary, or to a service project, one or the other, in, say, the next couple of months. Can I count on you doing this, Jeremy? Not only for the club, but also for me? And how can I help you get a list together of people you can invite to one or more of our membership events? Now, of course, you're acquainted with the person you're calling, so there'll be other things in between these sort of talking points, but you get the idea. We need to start with why it is important that our Rotary Club consistently, moderately grows rather than shrinks. Then we need to talk about what kind of people we're looking for in order to grow that Rotary Club, these quality Rotarians, similar to the quality of Rotarians you already have on the books. Folks, this will work. I've done this. What you're trying to do is prompt and inspire your members to bring prospects to the table, preferably to a Rotary information hour where they can learn something about Rotary. You'll hear a lot more about that next month. Or maybe to a service project where they can experience Rotary close up and personal. It's personally not my recommendation that you invite a prospect to a club meeting. Now that I know is a tried and true and failed strategy of old. And the reason for that, folks, is that when you invite somebody to a Rotary meeting, how many of the minutes in a Rotary meeting do we spend talking about what Rotary is about? It's certainly easy for a guest or a potential member to visit a Rotary meeting and know absolutely nothing more about Rotary when they leave than when they came in. So let's invite them to something where they can learn something about us. Okay, let's recap. We presented 3 strategies. Now, these are each guaranteed to help you prompt and inspire your members to bring prospects to the table. I'm saying guaranteed because we've seen clubs do all 3 of these things successfully. So the first is an exercise you can do during, say, the opening, the run-up to a club meeting before you ring the bell, or perhaps at a club assembly. And you're asking your members, who do you know? Asking them to invite those people to an event. The second is identifying these gaps in your membership where you're missing an industry, vocation, some business types or professions, and asking your members to specifically target their prospecting efforts on those segments. That does work a whole lot better than just think of somebody who would be a good Rotarian. And then there's the personal ask. Yeah, I give it to you. That is some work for those doing the asking. But folks, building membership is some work. You have to add energy to a business to grow it. You have to add energy to a Rotary Club to grow it. So the person that's doing that ask might be the president, the membership chair, a couple of board members. It's some work for them. But I got to tell you, the yield on that personal conversation beats 10 podium announcements, plus 10 emails, plus 10 bulletin articles. That one conversation will get you some prospects. Now, remember, no matter how you build your pipeline of prospect names, use your member management platform, something like DACDB or Club Runner, to enter and keep track of those names. Track those names, phone numbers, email addresses, and sponsor names. Now you got this, right? You need an intentional strategy, perhaps one of these 3, to get members to bring prospects to the table. And then you need to use a club-wide platform to keep track of those prospects. You got this, right? So next month's topic. Next month's topic is Connect with Prospects. That's on September 12th. Same time, 5 o'clock in the evening. And we'll answer questions like, how do you create an event where you'll invite those prospects and they'll feel inspired and attracted to Rotary. Here's a hint. It's something other than a club meeting. What do you tell them? What do you ask them? So for right now, start executing your plan to identify and capture prospect contact information. We'll bring you the next bite-sized step of this program next month, where we'll talk about how to connect with those prospects. So at this point, let's take some questions. Audley Knight, our regional membership officer, will moderate those. Audley?
Thank you very much, Terry. And the idea is just simple information that we're sharing. But first, let me just start. Put in the chat one thing you've heard today that you're going to put into practice over the next 30 days. We'll capture that. Passport coordinator George will be taking on that one as well too. But put that in the chat and just see what will you take away? What has really resonated with you this afternoon? But shifting a little bit and going back a little bit, this gap analysis is a nice fancy wording, but this is coming from something we've done in the past. So I'm going to throw this question over to Chris. We've often heard it as a classification analysis, and our older Rotarians in tenure, not age, speak a little bit about classification using the same wording as gap analysis as to a way to find persons that are not in our clubs.
Audley, thanks for the question. And classification in the long time ago days of Rotary was how we diversified our club by having different people from different professions in our club. And the gap analysis is really just another way to create diversification in our club. Not only diversification in terms of different types of professions, but diversification in different types of ideas. And it just gets us more quality members into our club.
And following up on that, as simple as this question is, we got it in the Q&A. Where can we find this list of the most common classifications or gaps in Rotary? Where do you think a club member or a club membership chair could just search quickly and find that?
Is that a question for me, Audley?
Question for you, Chris. Yes.
Okay, so the very first place that I always go to is the Chamber of Commerce. There is also a book of lists that comes out annually that lists the different professions in various markets. But for me, the Chamber is just a no question. I mean, that's just my go-to.
I have this question I'm going to pass over through to Terry. Who is the best person from your experience in our club to get prospects, to seek prospects? Is it everyone in the club should we divert it only to the club membership committee? What are your thoughts on that?
Rotary is a membership organization, and it's a membership organization that was built from a core of 4 people. Your Rotary Club started with a core of 4 people, and it built to whatever it took to get chartered, probably 25 members at the time. And some of your Rotary clubs built to hundreds of members. You know, that didn't happen because just 1 or 2 people were working at it. What you want to do is inspire and engage all of your members to at least come up with prospects, even if they're unwilling to contact those people. Figure out a way that you can at least get some names on the table. Now, granted, it is a whole lot more effective if the prospect that George knows is called by George. But if that's completely out of the question, I'm okay with calling somebody up and saying, hey, Max, my name's Terry Weaver. I'm part of the Rotary Club of Greenville, and I've known George for years and years through that club, and we've really enjoyed each other. I love the stories he tells, and I know you're a friend of George. And I wonder if you come to an event where you just learn a little bit more about our no obligation, just to come spend an hour with us before lunch, then join us for lunch. And I'll see if George can come along as well. Is that something that you might have an interest in? That's how that goes.
The follow-up question for you, and I'm going to see if Chris could possibly do his usual magic and possibly put a link somewhere. And that simple question is, where can we track our visitors in DACDB? Other parts of our zone will use Club Runner, but is there a particular option or platform in DACDB where use something like a customer relationship management thing. So Terry, that's the question. Chris, I don't know what you may have in your back pocket.
Sure. Well, I'll tee this up for Chris. Yeah, in DACDB, there's what we call member types. And some of those member types are Rotarians, such as active or R85 or active satellite or active family and so forth. But you can also have member types in DACDB, as you know, that are not active member types. If you put somebody in DACDB as a guest, for example, somebody that attended one of your meetings, that doesn't go up to RI, that doesn't go anywhere. That's just basically a local database for your club. And in that member type list, there's also the member type potential member. That's what we use. Now, my club is a large club. We need a lot of prospects in order to find the number of new members we need in a year. We have almost 400 of those potential members in our DACDB database. Now, if you're familiar with some of the other features of DACDB, such as the email distribution engine called Pmail, you'll realize that you can now start drip marketing those same people, just the way Amazon does to you. But I wouldn't do it quite that often. Maybe once a month, you send that list of potential members either some information about an upcoming service project that they might be interested in helping out with, or you send them one copy of your club bulletin, your club newsletter, say once a month. And what that does is just pops that Rotary brand in front of them. And of course, that means that this person that I called a friend of George, and we talked about Rotary a little bit, and he didn't bite on that one. But after, say, 4 or 6 or 8 months of getting a little ping from my Rotary Club once a month, he might even bring it up with George and say, hey, I might be interested in looking at that. So that's a good way to start, is harvest those prospect names and enter them in DACDB as potential members. All you need is first name, last name, email address, and mobile phone number. That's all I ask my members for. First name, last name, mobile phone, email address. You can cover the rest from there.
Chris, anything you'd like to add on the DACDB side? Because we'll have some questions on what other options are there. So please.
Audley, thanks for that. And Terry, thanks for your great explanation. And Audley, there is really no link to publish other than DACDB.com for DACDB, because once you're inside of DACDB, you'll click on the various icons of where you need to go. The other tool that you have is the engagement module. And for those clubs that subscribe to engagement, you do have a guest tracking mechanism from that, and you can track your guests there as well.
I'm going to shift the question to our director, Jeremy. If there's no robust Chamber of Commerce listing and there's no major backend software, or persons may not be that fully comfortable with DACDB, what other simple solutions have you seen over the years just to keep these prospects in line? Some way how to keep in touch with them to invite them to a Rotary event?
Well, thanks, Audley. Great question. I was thinking that when it was answered by Chris earlier. So it actually takes me back to my first day in sales. When my sales manager sat me down and said, I'm going to give you the best asset that I've got for you to be able to make contact with, the connection with clients. And he poured out a telephone directory, Yellow Pages, and dropped it on the desk in front of me. He said, start at A and work your way through. So there are databases out there, other databases other than obviously the Chamber of Commerce. And we have access to internet now as well. And, so I think you can use all of those opportunities at hand. One thing I do want to say as well is let's not just limit this to professionals. I mean, in terms of where we're going, what we're really looking for are people of action. President Jen likes to say the people we should be focusing on are people of action, people of influence, and people of purpose. And I think we should really look at those criteria as the primary ones. It may be that there's a housewife who's done an amazing job, comes straight out of a career, or maybe out of a former career or out of education, and out of a degree, and hasn't gone into a current job, who would make an amazing Rotarian. So I think we need to be broader in terms of the way we seek our members and look at prospective members in terms of the qualities. And I think there are people out there that, as you say, that we know that we should be really looking for that qualification first, that prospective Rotarian at heart. that we know that we turn into as we become members. So let's just not limit it to the telephone directories or the Chamber of Commerce. Let's think broader and wider about who would be a good fit for our clubs and really make a difference in our communities.
Thank you very much. And again, it's just, this session is just to look at how we prospect and to share ideas of what we've seen other clubs prospecting and what formal mechanism is in place. Terry, there are other tracking mechanisms. Have you seen or heard? What's been your experience as in another way to track these potential prospects?
Well, you do have the opportunity to grow your own from readily available tools. And one of those that strikes me off the top of my head is Google Forms and Google Sheets. You can create a Google form for free. Now, you need, of course, somebody with moderate amount of understanding of how these web tools work, but you can create a Google form that just, says at the top, please enter the name of a potential Rotarian here. And so, of course, you have to have them type in their name, so you know who you're hearing from. Then the first name, last name, and the email address and mobile phone number of the prospect. When you click enter, that is written automatically to a back-end spreadsheet. Now, your membership chair and your membership committee needs access to that back-end spreadsheet, because from there they would be working those prospects. Now, again, the clear-cut downside of this is if you have any turnover in that team and somebody loses track of the Google account this was created on, or the back-end link to that Google Sheet, then that group of prospects kind of vaporizes. So for that reason, I suggest that people figure out how to use durable platforms that'll be there year after year after year, such as the platform you're already using to manage your members, to do this prospect management. But there are some other ways to do this, and they're not complicated. What I don't suggest is email your prospect names to John, and then John builds a spreadsheet that's only resident on his own machine, which of course he doesn't have backed up anywhere, as you know. And then of course, another year turns over, John is no longer in that role. John loses the spreadsheet and the prospects are gone.
Thank you very much. And I'm also seeing Mike. Mike is spotlighted as well, just in relation to, there's a cluster of clubs close in one spot, or a cluster of clubs close in a particular city. And if you find a club or two kind of competing against for that one particular prospect.
Well, what's interesting when I hear that from other people, you're starting a new club is when you really hear it. Oh, they're going to compete with members. And my question to people is, how often have you asked someone and they've said, oh no, I've been asked by another club? Our market penetration in most areas, on average, is about 0.01%. That leaves a lot of room for finding people. If you are in a small area, then differentiating your club so that you make certain that the person joins the right club for that person, that takes somebody who really has the Rotary spirit to say, it's really great. I think you're a great fit, but don't you have conflicts during lunch? What do you think about this club that meets at night? When you develop that, many areas use a president's council, and the presidents get together and establish that rapport so that they do refer to each other.
And that's fantastic. So thanks for that. And a quick follow-up in relation to your segment when you spoke. A club that have used those manual cards, share with us, possibly based on your experience as well, the most successful club that have used it. How did they do it? And what kind of prospects and how did they build their pipeline using those index cards?
So the index card is, my experience, best used in a club assembly. It's also best used when you give the people in the audience a good chance of figuring out what sort of person works well in our club. Most people don't sit back and think, oh, you know what? We really need people who enjoy service in this area, or who are especially interesting in this area. Most clubs have to sit back and think. And real frankly, I've oftentimes sat and brainstormed with a diverse group of the club, with a membership committee and a diverse group to say, what is our club? What sorts of members do we need? We brainstorm it, we prioritize. And my club personally came out with, we want leaders with a heart for service. But those sorts of things that people can get their head around and think, oh, that works. The other thing that people did at the session that was very successful, I mentioned at your individual tables, to have the people work at their tables and start throwing out ideas about who would be good. That frequently will generate many more ideas than just somebody who gets handed a card and you say, okay, hand this in at the end of the meeting. If you do that, you're not going to get much anywhere. And you will definitely not get anywhere if they don't hand the card in.
So again, there's different options that we're sharing here, and the idea is to just get into the nuts and bolts as to what clubs can do and just share thoughts around that. And if a club or a club member or club president is on the call right now and you're already doing these things, that's fantastic. Keep at it. The idea is to just share best practices today from the wonderful panelists that are here as well too. So I just want to share another thought before we wrap, because we're going to be closing and we possibly have possibly one more question. I've seen a club use 7 areas of focus to assist with prospecting, looking at merging that concept with classification or the gap analysis. Because oftentimes we can prospect, but that particular person or profession might not be able to come to a lunch meeting or a breakfast meeting or an evening meeting for that matter, or even gathering. So have you seen, I'm not sure I'm going to throw this one to possibly Jeremy or Chris, have you seen clubs use the areas of focus to assist with prospecting? Because if we share with persons about we're doing maternal and child health and educational literacy, we might be speaking to passionately a prospective Rotarian who's a medical doctor or a teacher, but those folks might not be able to come to a meeting at the specific time. So let's share some thoughts around using to assist with the gap analysis, the areas of focus while we're prospecting. So I'll pass it to Jeremy and possibly Chris.
Thanks, Audley. It's an absolutely great idea, and it goes to what I was talking about earlier about understanding what a prospect is looking for from Rotary and matching what we're able to deliver as an organization with their needs to give them a return on investment, get them to get maximum value. So I love it as a concept. I have to say the only time I've probably seen it used recently is with some of the innovative clubs where they're cause-based and they perhaps fall into those areas of focus for clubs on the environment, for example, on child and maternal health care. And I think there are opportunities for that going forward. So, but I will go back to that important component of understanding that, what it's all about is us giving our members a return on the investment, making sure their Rotary membership experience is of massive value to them. And we can best do that if we match their needs to what we're able to offer. So I'll leave it at that, but I think it's a great idea. Thanks.
Yeah.
And oddly, I'll
Sure.
add to that. If we perform service projects that have an area of focus to it, service projects are a great opportunity to attract members to Rotary. And that's why our service projects, when we engage the community, we get a number of members coming to us out of those because they get to see Rotary in action. So we do want to make sure that we're including our community in any of those service projects that we're doing.
Absolutely. And I think we're at just around that time of 5:45. And the last question that I saw in the Q&A, I'll possibly take that one. And that one is in relation to membership leads. The Rotary International membership leads that come through to your clubs, that's another way to get prospects. So what's shared today between Mike, Chris, Terry, and Director Jeremy is another option for prospects. But there is this formal one through Rotary International. So what happens? Someone goes onto Rotary.org, clicks a button, say they want to join, fill in a form. Rotary International vets that person, that information, and it's sent to your district. The district will then vet that person and then assign it to a club. Once a lead is assigned to a club, the club president and the club membership chair will get an email notification on that one, and your assistant governor will also be notified as well. So here's a tip. If you've not received a lead in a little while, ask your district membership chair about that. There might be leads there sitting and waiting for you, or it may have been sent to you, but you may have missed it. So check that out. So again, thank you for another wonderful session. Thank you all to the panelists here today, just to sharing your expertise. And as we wrap, what we'd like to do is just to remind everyone of what we're doing across our peer zones. And remember, we're part of this three-legged stool. You may have heard about that for many years as well too. So our public image webinar that's coming up soon for the zones is on August 11. Please check that out. And also coming right along the heels of that one is our Rotary Foundation webinar. And we'll wrap by reminding everyone our next session, session 2, will be on how to connect with these prospects. As mentioned, the membership action plan is sharing bite-sized chunks specifically to assist with clubs. Today was about prospecting. Session 2, which is on September 12th, will be on how to connect with those prospects. Same time, right here at 5 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining. I hope this session was very beneficial to you. It is recorded, and we'll definitely share it on our website as well. So thanks again, and have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Thank
you, everyone. Looking forward to seeing you at the next session. Have a great month. Take care.